everyone. I am popping on here for Disability Awareness Month. And today I am with Laura, who is an author who integrates chronically ill people and representation into her books, which is just, I can't wait for the next one, to be honest with you. We need to keep bullying Laura to write more books. But today we're going to be talking about how not to talk to and treat a chronically ill person, what you should and shouldn't say, because sometimes it feels like a bit of a minefield. If you have not seen one of my recordings before, I am Tracy. I run TrulyListening. I'm a positive psychology specialist and coach, and I work with people all over the UK to bring a proactive approach to mental health. And that is part of this. It's how do you talk to people without being an arse, to be honest with you. So I will let Laura kind of introduce herself and tell you about how she feels as a chronically ill person. And that label in itself is, you know, just keep throwing it out there. What do you introduce yourself as, Laura?
I tend to use the term spoonie.
Okay.
Just because it sounds fun. And it basically means that I have less spoons in a day to use. So for example, if I have a shower one day, then I'm not going to be able to do another big task that day because the shower might wipe me out. So it's a term that works for me.
Okay, so spoonie. Does that kind of relate to, if anyone's heard of it, the spoon theory, where you have different levels of energy, and is that what you're talking about when you label yourself a spoonie?
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of the opposite of the saying we all have the same 24 hours in a day, because we don't, because not for a spoonie, not all of those hours are usable.
Okay, excuse my office manager joining in our discussion. She does this quite a lot. Okay, so we're just going to kick it off with a shouldn't. What is one of those pet peeves that people come up to you and go, and you just think, oh, and you want to swear at them quite loudly?
Okay, so obviously these are going to be from my perspective, and people are welcome to have different, but I can, like with my writing, I can only do from my perspective. But I feel like most people will be most annoyed by the, have you tried this? Maybe you're just not doing this. Have you tried that? And although it's well intentioned, it doesn't mean you're a bad person if you say that. It's just frustrating, because as a chronically ill person, you go to appointments and it is constantly, what can you do to help? What can you do to help? And I mean, it wasn't that long ago that they were telling patients with ME that they need to exercise to improve their illness. And it's since been proven that exercise makes ME worse. And this is still a gaslighting thing that's happening in the NHS throughout the country, that people with ME are still being mistreated and told they need to exercise, they need to do this, do that. And it's a problem in our own healthcare system, where the problem is put onto the patient. So then they go to speak to a friend or a relative, and what they really want is not for someone to say, well, have you done this? Have you done that? Because it implies that they're not trying enough and that they haven't tried all options already. And I can guarantee, like 99.9% of the time, if someone is chronically ill, they will have tried everything.
Yeah, I can imagine it's like, it feels kind of like you're being bullied, to be honest with you, into, have you tried this? Have you tried that? It's that pressure on you to, like, you haven't got enough when you're already not feeling well, or you haven't, you know, you've had to use your spoons that day for a shower. Have you tried going for a walk as well? It's really good for your mental health. Oh yeah, it took me an hour to get a shower and I need to relax and afterwards, or I'm really screwed for the day. I can't imagine the pressure that it puts you under to have that said to you by people who are experts. You know, we say we're experts, but I don't think there's anyone who's truly an expert with everybody in this world. It's
exactly. Everyone's different. So although it's well intentioned, the advice, and they mean it in a nice way, you're not dealing with, you weren't asked for a physical solution, so don't give one.
If we're not asking, don't tell us. We do not want to know. I think that's true of most people, to be honest with you. I think that's true of everybody. If you don't need to give unsolicited advice, if everyone tries to give advice that isn't personalized, it's just rubbish, really. It's generic, it's not individual, and it doesn't make you feel heard when someone's just brushing over the top of you.
Same with infertility as well, because you don't want to constantly have it thrown in your face by every person you meet what all the options were that didn't work. So yeah, it's just draining.
Yeah, it's not easy, I would imagine, to not feel heard in that space and to have people keep giving you things that you've already either tried or are just not going to work for you. We have discussed this beforehand, so I do have a list, right? We have another one that we kind of discussed before this is I have a friend that has that, and I think that kind of links into this, you know, just because you know one person doesn't mean you know everything. And it works the same. I live in a neurodiverse house, if you've not watched anything from me before, and there is no one person in this house that is the same. So knowing an autistic person or knowing a person with ADHD does not mean you know that person and what they are going through every day. It might give you a framework, but it's not the individual. And I'd imagine it's like that for you as well, Laura. If you've got a friend, you know, a friend who's a spoonie, I know everything.
Yeah, I have a friend that has that condition and they managed to do this, so you should be able to. Yeah, great. I'll just, tell myself that. That'll help. Sorry.
Oh yeah. My friend who runs marathons is autistic. Does that mean you're going to as well? No. It's such a wide thing to say to somebody, but it's one of those people fall back into it automatically because they don't know what to say. It's a safe space, I guess, for people to say that. What was
and
that?
People feel like they're failing because if someone says to you, well, I know someone with this condition, but they work, they do this, they do that, then you're already below the line of what's expected.
Just an awful thing to feel that you're below the line of anything. There's no lines. It's all a load of but people put these lines on you though, don't they? Especially if you aren't presenting to the world how they expect you to. There's this line that is just hard to get people to come away from.
Yeah.
I know that when we were talking about this at the start, we kind of thought that we've done all the shouldn'ts. So we're going to look at the shoulds because this was actually hard to think about because obviously we are two individuals and we want to have a wide range out there. So if you're watching this, please share your shoulds below. Tell us what you would love to hear instead of what you wouldn't love to hear. You know, we're going to talk about how to manage a kind of an outing between people and how to arrange it. And because sometimes that can be a bit of a minefield. If you don't understand, you're never going to understand fully the individual you're arranging with. So how do you make an arrangement with a spoonie and leave it so that it's a safe and held space and that they don't feel not heard, but you're not railroading it and going, yeah, let's go do this, which they're just not going to be able to do even on a good day. You know, what's needed when we're arranging a thing like that?
I think I would never, like what you said with it being difficult to know the shoulds, I don't hold it against anyone who does the shouldn'ts because we all do it. Like we do. It's hard. And at the same time, I don't want people to feel that they need to fix solutions when we go out either. It's not on them to know what I can do. They don't need to study my condition to find ways that things will work. I can just say at the time, or if we, well, actually, being a spoonie, I do plan more. And you have to plan more because I don't know if I'm going to be in a wheelchair and I don't know how I'm going to get in, out. So being a bit more organized for me is definitely a help so that I can research where we're going, how it's going to work. But just asking questions, is this okay? Are you okay to go there? Is there anything I can do to help you get there? That's all you need to do.
See, I've known you a few years now, so I kind of I like to think of myself that I stand a slight chance of getting this right. But I found that when we've been out recently and when we were going out, it wasn't that I had to consider you, it was that I had to consider myself open to adaptations. That you might say, I need to do this, or I need to plan this, or this needs to be done. It's being open to that and also feeling safe to ask questions. I'm quite confident that I could ask you, are you going to be able to do that? Is that okay with you? Because you are my friend and that felt like a safe space for us. But that might not feel safe for everyone. So how can you open up that kind of communication so people feel that they can ask questions, tell people what they need, create a trip out that really feels a partnership made it, not just someone trying to make it and throw someone else into it.
That's true, because when I'm with you, I do know that I can just say I need to sit down now, and it's not going to be a problem. It's fine. Or yeah, but when I mean, one thing that happened is a friend had a birthday and they were really considerate because they had like 3 things going on. It was bowling, dinner, and an escape room. And I was like, I'm just going to do the escape room and then sit in the car. And she asked if she needed to change her plans. And I was like, no, don't change your plans. It's your birthday. You need to do what you need to do. Just that's the part that I can do. So that's the part that I'm going to join in on. And having that arranged beforehand was really helpful, because on the day, had they just randomly decided we're going to go out to eat now and I wasn't able to go, that would have been very especially as I don't drive, so I'd have been like, can you drive me home first? Yeah, having that kind of flexibility is really helpful that you mentioned, but also having ways that we can sit out and go rest when we need to rest. Basically, like when we were at the park, it was just me and you, and I knew that I could sit down at any time. But if I was with someone that was like, oh, I want to keep going, I need to do this, that would have been a problem, because I have a tendency, as I think most chronically ill people do, to push myself way too far because I don't be a burden or an inconvenience. So asking someone if they can do something and waiting for that answer can make a big difference, because it forces them to stop and think. So yeah, I think that's the answer that I've got from my ramble, really.
So Luna agrees. It's not about kind of taking responsibility, but it is opening that conversation and having that. Can you hear my dog? I'm not sure if you can hear her or not. She's having a really good yell on this Zoom call. So yeah, that is the kind of main thing that's come away from this. I think we've kind of come to the conclusion that it's just not just, it is feeling heard. It is making space, asking questions, and not isolating people with our expectations and what we should do, or what we think people should be able to do, or how to help people that realistically don't even want our help because they're quite capable of organizing their own shit. And if you make space to actually listen, people will tell you what they need in this world. And I think that's the most important thing that we've kind of brought away. Have you got anything to add, Laura, before we wrap this all up?
No, that's good.
Yeah. You're good with that?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on here and having this discussion with me today. I really appreciate it. Laura, what we'll do is we'll put your links and everything in the comments below to your book so people can grab a hold of that as well. And if they want to talk to you about Spoonie stuff, I'm sure you'd be more than happy to have a chat. And my links will be in the comment below. And if you have any questions, comments, or if you want to come on here and chat in Disability Awareness Month, we only have a few days left. I'm sure we can sneak it in. So I will speak to you soon. Take care, everybody. Bye.